Hello guys, welcome to the video. So in this one, I want to show you how to make tower find closest enemy within the attack range. And I think it's better if we make it target random enemy within the attack range. All right, that's what I want to show you, how to do that. How could we do that? What do we need for that? First of all, we need to have information about alive enemies, preferably about alive enemies around the tower. And before I show you the way we're gonna do that, I just want to say that we possibly could make information about all of the alive enemies on the enemy manager, and then we could get reference to the enemy manager and grab that list with enemies and search for closest enemy among that list. We did something similar with the waypoints, if you remember. This waypoint manager has information about all of the waypoints on the map, and then enemy is getting reference to these waypoints, and enemy makes its own waypoints equals to the waypoints he got from a waypoint manager. So in a similar way, we could get information about alive enemies. But this time, I want to show you something new, because you already know how to do this. And to show you what we're gonna do, first I want to show you how attack range is going to work. Let's make serialize field, private transform, attack range, and let's make it equals to 1.5 by default. Sorry, why do I use transform? It should be float value. Okay, so we have attack range. Now we're going to draw gizmos to represent this attack range visually. Gizmos are visible only to the developer, player will not see them, and they are basically used just to visually debug some information. Let's do on draw gizmos. And then we're going to type gizmos, draw wire sphere. And first we're going to do it in a wrong way, because I want you to see the difference. Let's do tower head dot position as a center and as a radius attack range. Okay, gonna go back. And now you can see we have attack range, and it is drawn from the center of a tower's head. And any range we want to calculate, it is calculated from the center to the maximum attack range. So it can be up to here or up to here. But what we want to have is a radius around the tower like that. That's what we need to do. And that's why as a center point for attack range, we're going to use transform position of entire tower, not the gun itself. Okay, let's go back to the script and use transform position. All right, gonna save it. Let's go back to Unity. And now it is calculated from the center, and we can just easily check the distance between center and maximum radius. And it's gonna work much better and much more correct. Yeah, very good. So this is how we're gonna see attack range. Let's increase it, maybe to something like 2.2. Yeah, this should be fine for now. Now let's go back to the script, and we're gonna make a method, a private transform, find random enemy within range. This is what this method is going to do. It's going to find random enemy within the attack range, and it's gonna return a transform. So later on we can just simply make current enemy equals to find random enemy within range. Very nice. Now how it's going to be? Unity allows you to detect colliders around the object. To do that, you can just make collider array variable as a local one, and let's do enemies around. It's going to be the name for it. And we're going to make it equals to physics overlap sphere from transform position within radius of attack range. So what it's going to do? It's going to make array of colliders with the name enemies around, and it's going to make it equals to all of the colliders that were detected in the attack range within the center position of a transform position. So just like that. It's going to physically detect all of the colliders and put them into one array. Thanks to that, we can now have information about all of the colliders around the tower, including the enemies. Maybe, just maybe, let's take this line of code, let's cut it out, let's open start method, paste this in. This one is going to be commented. And let's do something simple. For each collider in enemy surround, debug.log, collider.name, or maybe gameObject.name. Okay, let's save it. Let's go back to Unity and just see the result. We have enemy within the attack range. I'm gonna place him here. Gonna hit the play button. And boom, we can see we found enemy basic, but also we found field, road, and field. So it works. We did detect all of the colliders. We also have information about them in the array and we can use it. But as you can see, we detected more than we want because we want to detect only enemies. It is easily fixable by creating a layer mask. Let's do this. Serialize field, private layer mask. What is enemy? Then we're gonna add this parameter of a mask over here. It's gonna do search only on the layer of enemies. Let's go and try this first. Gonna go back to Unity. Now we need to make a new layer. We're gonna go over here to layers, add layer of enemy. Very nice, we did it. Now we're gonna go back to enemy basic. Sorry, not enemy, tower. And over here we can define what is enemy by choosing enemy layer. Nice, now let's try this again. Gonna go to play mode. And, oh, of course, forgot something. On the enemy basic, we need to choose layer and change it to enemy. And I think for now we can do just know this object only. All right, let's try again. And boom, we did detect enemy basic. Perfect, so we have info about enemies. Now we can use it. Let's go back to the script. Let's uncomment this method. And let's take this code from here, bring it back to find random enemy within range. And now we can detect all of the enemies within the attack range, and we can just add each of the enemy to the list of possible targets. And that's what we're going to do. Let's make list of transforms. Possible targets equals to new list of transforms. Then instead of debug, we're gonna do possible targets, add collider.transform. And I don't like the collider name. Let's rename it to enemy. Okay, very nice. Now we can go further and choose random enemy from the list, just like we did with we did something similar not a while ago. Over here, yeah, we did choose random enemy in the list. So it's gonna be very similar functionality. Gonna go back to the tower script, and we're gonna type int random index equals to random range. And over here we can see it is underlined because we have a couple of extra things above over here. Let's remove using system and system collections. Okay, now it should be good. Let's type from 0 to possible targets.count, just like that. And then we're simply gonna return possible targets with a random index. Simple as that. We don't need to do anything else. Now let's save it. And in the update, I'm gonna type something like if current enemy is equals to null, then current enemy equals to find random enemy within range. Now enemies are not dying, so tower cannot find new enemy automatically. So maybe let's do something like if vector3.distance between current enemy position and transform position is more than attack range, then it means enemy left the attack range and we can look for new target. So we can just type current enemy equals to null. And because of that, it's gonna find new target in this update. Later on, enemies are going to die, so we won't have to use this one. But now I think let's just use it. Or actually, we might need to use it in the future as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and try this. Let's go back to Unity. And also I think there is a bug that we need to fix. But first, let's make sure we apply overrides. We're going to click override, apply all, and it's going to apply changes to the layer as well. Now, if you go to prefabs, choose enemy basic, it's going to have enemy layer, and we can remove basic enemy from here, go to enemy manager, and let's make 100 of basic enemies with a cooldown of 2 seconds. Let's go to play mode. And yeah, there is an error message. Let's fix it. So this one says that it tries to... Oh, all right. We have current enemy equals to null, and there is no enemies within the attack range. So this one results an error message. Okay, so there are multiple things that we need to avoid to make it work without any errors. And I think it's fine if I show you every step, like one by one, all the things we need to do to avoid it. So first of all, this one throws an exception because there are no enemies in the list by the time we call in this method, because there are no enemies within the attack range. This list is empty and we're trying to get random transform from the list, and we have an error message. Let's see it again. Over here it says out of range exception. All right, means the list is longer than you want. So over here we need to do something simple. We can make it return null if list is empty. Let's do if possible targets.count is less or equals to 0. There are nothing inside of it. Then we're gonna return null. So now this method can return a null. And in this case, if we try to find a target, it's going to be null anyways, because there were no targets found. Let's save it and let's see this again. And this time it's going to be a different error message. We're going to go to play mode. And we can see null reference exception. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. So you see this message a lot. This is usually most common error people see. And this one means that you're trying to use variable that is empty and Unity does not know what to do. If we click on this, it will lead us to this line of code. And in this line of code, current enemy is empty because we did not find any enemy. This one returned null. So here what we can do to make it work. Let's go inside of this method and let's return just like that. So we know that when we return from a method, nothing after return will work. Basically, this means that when we enter the update, when update is called, we're gonna check this if statement. If current enemy is equals to null, then we make in current enemy equals to find random enemy within range. And then we return from this method, no matter we did find or we did not find anyone, just as a protection. But because update is usually runs like super many times per second, it all depends on FPS. Update is called every frame, right? So if you have 240 FPS, your update will be called 240 times per second. Because of that, even if you return from the update, it will not be noticeable at all. So we return from the update after we try to find an enemy, and this one will not work. On the next call of the update, if we did find something, then this will not work, because this one is not equals to null. And we're going to try to check distance between the enemy and the tower, and we're going to try to rotate the tower. But if we did return null through find random enemy, if we did return this over here, then we're going to return, we're going to enter the update again, and current enemy going to be equals to null again, and we're going to attempt to find new enemy again. So basically it means that this will not work until we find an enemy. And we're gonna find enemy only if there is something within the attack range. So perfect. Okay, let's go and try this again. Gonna go back to Unity. Let's go to play mode and see this. Okay, nice. No error message. We see enemies created every 2 seconds. And let's see if tower is going to point at any of them. Boom, pointing at the enemy. By the way, there was a couple of messages over here. We can see 25 times. We're gonna fix it now. Let's just see if enemy chooses a new target when this enemy walks out of the attack range. And yes, choosing a new target, a random target within the attack range. Very nice, I like it. That's the logic I want to have. Perfect. Now let's fix this. It's going to be very easy to fix. So there was a bit of a time where tower tried to rotate towards the enemy and enemy was null. To fix it, we can go over here and type if current enemy is equals to null, then return. And we're not going to rotate anything if we don't have an enemy. Okay, this is good. Now there won't be any messages and logic is fine. I think I like it. I think of a different way for finding an enemy. We could find, because this one chooses a random one, but also we could do a functionality where tower chooses the closest target to the tower or closest target to the entrance or closest target to the castle, but that is about, you know, personal preference on how towers should work. That is all about game design, and I think we're gonna keep this logic as it is right now. Later on we're gonna see if this does not work very well, maybe we're gonna change the behavior. And also with the knowledge you're gonna get from this course, you can easily adjust the behavior later on, so it's gonna be fine anyway. All right, that's good for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.